Hello, welcome to the Appleby College roundtable. Thank you so much for joining us for the next 45 to 60 minutes. My name is Rudy Ann Grigson, and I work in admissions at Appleby. And we have three lovely parents who have kindly offered to sit with us today and have a little chat. And these parents have children who have graduated as well as who are current students. So it'll be very interesting to hear the different perspectives. So let's first start with Kathy. Why did you choose Appleby College originally?
Okay, so I have four boys at Appleby College currently. So we started Appleby 4 years ago when my eldest was going into grade 9. So he'll be graduating this year. And we chose Appleby because I was so impressed when we were doing our tours of schools, just how I guess there's the student ambassadors behaved. Like they held doors for us, they answered all our questions. They just, I looked at them and I thought, if my kid turns out like that after he's left Appleby, that would be amazing. And on top of that, of course, it was all the leadership programs they have and the global trips. So there was just so much the school had to offer. But I remember my first impression was, wow, these kids are amazing.
Oh, that's good to hear. And thank you for sharing that. I forgot to mention that, yes, you have four boys, one graduating this year, which is very exciting, one finishing grade 11, one finishing grade 9, and one finishing grade 8, right?
It's exciting. We have two grads this year, 8 and 12.
Yeah, that's right. And then Danny, he has two girls, one who graduated last June and one who's just finishing grade 11. And then there's Mary, and she had a son who graduated last June as well. So Mary, let me ask you the same question. Why did you choose Appleby College?
So a similar story to Kathy. I mean, we had heard about Appleby's reputation, and the programs, the diversity of it, just everything that it had to offer. And we looked really hard. I was sort of, it was my own little pet project. I looked around and I went to just about every single school. We were looking, Mitchell would have been in grade 6. So we were looking for grade 7. And like Kathy, I got to the school and the students and the faculty were just so warm and welcoming. And our student ambassador too, who took us around, blew me away, just the ability. And so that was kind of a clincher for us. And the campus was just stunning. So we decided that it was the right place to be.
Oh, that's awesome. And in some ways, was the school what you expected in the end?
Absolutely. Everything we had hoped for. It was definitely, it ticked all of the boxes and then some. We didn't realize just how much it had to offer until Mitchell got in there. All of the, we had high academic hopes, like we'd heard about the academic excellence, but all the other things too, right? It's just unbelievable. It's so well-rounded and offers so much. So, and they do offer the academic side, but they also, consider everything else that goes into making a well-rounded person. So we were really pleasantly surprised.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you. And Danny, how about you? Why did you choose Appleby College?
I have a more circuitous route because I actually played cricket at Appleby College many, many moons ago when that was a part of their curriculum. And I played at all the private schools. And Appleby, for some reason, had touched a nerve in me way more than the others did. And then my daughter showed up one day and said, Dad, thinking I might like to go to Appleby. And I thought, what? Well, I knew by now it was a coeducational institution. And the clincher, like for Mary and for Kathy, the clincher was when we went and had that little tour and the ambassadors. I personally, I work in the hospitality industry and I was just taken aback by the fact these young people had such a facility and such an ease to sell their environment to us. And that was it. I was sold.
Oh, that's wonderful. We do have excellent student ambassadors, and they're always very excited to show the school. And in what ways was the school what you expected or not, Danny?
In every way, as Mary said, I mean, when there's a box that says that you can tick that says exceeded expectations, you'd have to tick that box, because it, despite changes over the years and changes in curriculum, changes in lifestyle changes and everything, Appleby has managed to maintain core strength. And I think that translates into what we see out of our kids. Mary, Kathy, and I have all been very involved with in the parents' involvement in the school. And that's, I think, a large part of what the feedback that we get.
Okay, thank you. And Kathy, what would you say is the biggest impact the school has had on your children?
I mean, it's a little bit of what I'll say is the other question that you had is what impact it's had on my oldest child is that he's graduating this year, and the child he was going in grade 9 and the one he is now going to grade 12, they're completely two different kids. And it's almost like when I said these student ambassadors were these, independent and just caring and kind students, like I find that the school makes these kids. I don't know how you do it. I think you do. I mean, it's between the teachers and all of the opportunities they have. Like Oliver, he never in grade 9 would have gone to be an S1 leader in grade 11 and then to be a prefect in grade 12, which is, I don't know if everybody knows, but Appleby's like, a big leadership role there. And he thrived. He is so nostalgic and so sad to be graduating and leaving. I mean, for everything from the boarding that you have to do in grade 12, like that was just such a great experience for him. And I'm just so pleased that he's had this wonderful year, and he's just a different kid. And I think he's going to carry these experiences, and he's going to carry everything he's learned at Appleby through going to Spain on a global ed trip and, joining the choir or something. I mean, he's tone deaf like I am. We don't sing, but it's something that it was out of his comfort zone and he tried it. So it's just such a great experience that these kids have. And I'm hoping now that, his younger brothers, he's kind of telling them what they need to do and the stuff they need to try. And I just think that it's made them different people, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. That's very heartwarming too.
I'm not sure if I even answered your question. I was just rambling.
Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. How much Oliver's changed. Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
What you just described.
It is.
So thank you.
It's wonderful to see as a parent. And I know, we're like, your kids are your kids, and you think if they were at a different school, would this have happened? And I honestly believe it wouldn't have. I think the school just has such an incredible impact on him, and it's the other students that are around him that, I always say it's the company you keep, right? So
right.
It's the impact that the kids and the teachers, the faculty, staff, everyone has on these students. And it's incredible to see.
Oh, thank you. And Mary, how about you? What do you think the biggest impact the school has had on Mitch?
Yeah, I totally agree with Kathy. The confidence that the school has given him, the resilience, the determination to try, all of that has come through Appleby as he's gone through. He's, to Kathy's point, he seems like a totally different person, and I can't take any credit for it because it just is something Appleby. It's a magic that they have that I don't know how they do it, but I guess it's with the faculty and the existing students, and just it's incredible how they help these kids grow beyond and shape them into leaders. And I think part of who Mitchell is today, or most of who he is today, is thanks to Appleby, and who he will be in the future, because he'll continue to carry this experience with him. So yeah, it's really had a wonderful positive impact on him.
Oh, it's so fantastic. And how about you, Danny?
Well, I think if I look at, I had two daughters come through there. The first one is, of course, now graduated. And I think in both their cases, I'd have to say that Appleby helped to expand their horizons in ways that I do not envisage in a different environment that they would not have had. And the reason I say that is I look at the younger one, Raina, and I look at her involvements in everything from the arts to STEM projects,
Mhm.
and the types of things that she's been able to do all at the same time. And I know that Appleby puts a lot of expectations on them in terms of, academic performance and being involved in different things. But it is that it gave her the opportunity to recognize not just her leadership potential, but the ability to collaborate with others. And I think that's the thing that strikes me. Because when we look at the Appleby core mission from years gone by, it is fantastic to see that core of still being able to produce leaders, but leaders who can collaborate and allow other people to flourish as well. And I think that's what the beautiful thing is that I've noticed with my kids.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for sharing. And now, Kathy, what do your boys say about the school?
I mean, they love the school. What can I say? They like Oliver, especially. I mean, grade 12 graduating, he is very sad to leave. Like, we have photos, he sends us texts, every few days of the lake, and he's like, look what I'm leaving behind. Like, I mean, it's such a magical place, right? Like, I'd love to go back to school and go there. So I'd say that all the kids have really enjoyed the experiences. I mean, I think, with my youngest, we've had a little bit of a harder time. I think going into grade 7, coming from a smaller school, COVID and online learning, and then going to a much larger grade 7 school, where he didn't know anybody. It was a bit of a struggle. And Appleby's been great in supporting us and helping us through the 2 years of middle school with him. So he is at a good place now. And I think going into grade 9, he's happy. He, will have new friends coming in, which is going to be fantastic for him. So I think that's wonderful. I'd say out of all the kids, he's the one that's not taking advantage of any of the opportunities yet. But I think in high school, he'll gain his confidence back and he'll enjoy it more. But yeah, no, they really enjoy it. They've made some great friends. They're looking forward to, Carter went on a global leadership trip to Colombia. He loved that. I mean, I'm so excited that all these trips are coming back this year. And, hopefully Spence will go, and then Hunter. And it's just the opportunities they have. I keep saying, like, I send them texts every time the ATW comes out. I'm like, please sign up for this. Please sign up for this. I mean, they're boys. They ignore their mother all the time. But it's just unbelievable, the opportunities they have. And they're just quite happy. They're happy to be there. And I think they are really nervous going in, and my older two, when they went at the same time, grade 8 and grade 9. Like, Carter, of course, wanted to graduate with his friends in elementary school. And they, at the beginning were really hesitant. They're like, I don't know about this new school. What are we doing here? And now, I mean, I'd say after the first year, there was no turning back. They were really happy, to the point where Carter even convinced another friend to join Appleby. So I think the way he spoke highly of it, they're like, yes, we're coming. So he's happy to do it.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Thank you. And, for Hunter, he's got 4 more years to take advantage of everything Appleby has to offer.
He does. He has 4 years. And that
absolutely. And I echo what you said about those global ed trips. They're incredible experiences for the kids. Usually like the highlight of their time at Appleby.
They are. And I'm sad that, obviously with the pandemic, that some kids weren't able to experience that, but I'm very grateful that it's back and that they can do it.
Oh, good. Thank you. And Mary, what does Mitch have to say about Appleby when he reflects back?
Yeah, he has so much positive to say. But before I tell you, I just want to build on Kathy's comments about her youngest, because the school does a phenomenal job of getting to know your child. So, even though Hunter's just starting out, Mitchell was sort of similar. They figure out how they operate, who they are, how they learn best. They encourage them in these, different areas. And that's, I think, where the growth comes. They're masters at getting to really know your child personally. And I found that with Mitchell. But in terms of what he would tell you about the school, he would say best years of his life, especially the boarding year. He misses it. He's now spent a year boarding at university. Can't wait to come back to Appleby when he gets home. He constantly says, university boarding is okay. Nothing like Appleby. Appleby was the best year. Boarding was the best year of my life. Still says that. He loved it. I think he's made lifelong friends. He keeps in touch with all of his Appleby buddies. They get together every time on the holidays when they're home. And I have high hopes that those will be lifelong friendships. He loved it. He misses it. And I think he's taken so many skills and confidence and leadership qualities from it.
Oh, good. Thank you. And I know our main goal of providing that boarding is to help in the transition to post-secondary. Would you say that was the case with Mitch?
Was amazing. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you, to be completely honest, back in time when we were looking to join in grade 7, one of the hesitations for me was the boarding, the grade 12 boarding. I said to my husband, well, I don't know if I'm ready to let him go that soon, right? But we decided we would. And in hindsight, oh my gosh, best thing that could ever possibly happen, like for him, for us. And then the transition into university was just seamless. It was kind of like, we dropped him off and we'll see you later. And he was fine. We were fine. It was brilliant. So highly, highly recommend if anybody, is worried about that final year or hesitant because of that final year, best thing that could ever happen.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I think you touched upon something that's very important, is that boarding year not only helps prepare the students in going off to post-secondary, but it also prepares the parents.
Yeah, totally. It definitely does. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And Danny, what do your girls have to say about Appleby?
Well, they've had two different experiences pretty much, because like Mitch, Lalika was a product of the pandemic years. And that threw her a bit, of course, because the loss of some of the global experiences that they were, she was committed to two fantastic ones that just failed to materialize. And that was a big stumbling block. But in retrospect, now as she has moved forward into university, and she recognizes that despite that, what they got from Appleby was way better than what anybody else got. That's the whole thing. It's all relative. Whereas Raina is getting a different experience. Thankfully, her first year was a pandemic year, but after that, there's been an opening, which is going to allow her an even better experience. And she's absolutely in heaven. She's in heaven because she's able to be involved in so many things. She's in heaven because she feels that her input is valued. That's another thing that I find very striking at Appleby. They don't just take it for granted, and I'm talking in general here, that the staff and the people that they're involved with don't take it for granted. They actually let these children feel and let them know that their involvement and their contributions are valued. And that is a wonderful, wonderful thing for them to take forward and to recognize as they step out of that world into the next world.
Oh, that's an important point. Thank you for that. And moving on to my next question, Kathy, if Appleby College were to be represented as a single person, and, what would its personality be like? Could you describe Appleby in 3 words?
Okay, so I'd say open-minded. He's definitely open-minded, inclusive, if I can combine the 2 words. They're open to, I think, like Mary said, like to getting to know your child and to figuring out who they are and helping them with the advisor program that you have, with the guidance program, like the 4 years from 9 to 12, where they get to know your child and really just help navigate all of high school and then, figure out where they're going to university. So I think that, I don't know, open mind might be a good word. Curious might be another one, like just the opportunities that they have. And they always encourage the kids just to be curious and ask questions. And, the kids will come home and they're working on these fantastic projects in science class or math class, or the international business program that you have. Just always encouraging students to be curious, so and try new things. What's the other one I was thinking? I don't know, like maybe a leader, I guess. That would be a good word, a leader, because obviously we talked about all the leadership opportunities at Appleby. So I think that Appleby definitely is the leader in the private schools, and I think that's what they teach their students to be too.
That's great. Thank you. And you mentioned our guidance program, and I do want to add that that is one of our strengths, is the fact that students are assigned a guidance counselor right from grade 9, and they're with that guidance counselor right through the duration of their high school career. And they form a connection, and they're able to get that support beginning in grade 9.
It is. It's a great program. I think unfortunately for Oliver, he had 2 advisors and both of them left in the 4 years, and then he had a guidance counselor that also left. But you know what? It doesn't matter. He's still like, it's a wonderful program. It doesn't happen to every kid, of course.
Right.
But it is great because they actually get to know your family too, because the advisors are different per child, but each kid, like all 4 of mine, will have the same now guidance counselor. So that's nice too, because he's gone through the process this year because he was new of getting to know Oliver and figuring out, all of the universities and the applications and all that with him. And now we already have been in touch with him for Carter going into grade 12 next year. So it's nice that they, each child in the family will have the same one, and then the parents have a connection also with the guidance counselors.
Right. Okay, thanks. And Mary, how about you? What 3 words come to mind when you think about
so there's so many words, so many positive words to describe Appleby, and Kathy said a lot of them, but I think in terms of a person, if I could describe, the 3 words would be awesome family member, right? That person you can go to if you need support, if you need coaching, if you need comfort. Appleby is all of those things, and it feels like an extended family. Like they have such a strong community sense with, including the parents, like Kathy said, alumni, got the students and the faculty and staff, and it does just feel like one great big family, and a part of the family that you can turn to when you need, and they're always there for help and support. So I think that would be sort of how I would describe it. Just very warm, welcoming, awesome family member.
Oh, thank you. That's so good to hear. And Danny, how about you?
Well, like Mary, I was challenged because a multitude of words would appear, but I thought at the end, a flexible, innovative leader.
Okay.
Because we have seen, especially in the last couple of years, the first 2, flexibility and innovation, come to the forefront to rescue from an extremely difficult situation and still keep that wonderful flag flying high. And leadership we've touched on before, and I know that's one of the core value, and that was one of the very first things when the school was founded, was to create leaders. Of course, as the student body gets larger, that challenge expands itself, because we can't all be leaders. And so a flexible, innovative leader is truly a leader, is a person who leads by example, is a person who finds the ways to collaborate with the people around them. And that's how I see Appleby.
Oh, good. Thank you. And now, Kathy, how would you describe the values of Appleby College and the values of the families in our school community?
I would say that they all are like kind of like Mary said, like a family. They're all like, all have the values of wanting to be part of something, I guess, and wanting to do the best for their children. Like everyone, so Danny, Mary, and I are very involved in the parent association. So I find that every person that you meet, either in the parent association or just, when you drop off your kids or going to a sports activity, they all are so excited to be there because they just want to show up for their kids. They just want their kids to have the best experience. Like we all, I think, just want the best for our kids. And I feel like we all then want to be part of this community that wants the best for your kids. So I feel that that's how I would describe the parents, I think, and the school itself. And the values that we have is just wanting everything, wanting your kids to succeed and wanting them to have all these great characteristics we've already talked about of leadership and independence and resilience and all that. So I think it's just all of us seem to have those same values,
Mhm.
And it's what brings the parents and the students and the faculty together as a community.
Okay, good. Thank you. And Mary, how would you describe the values of the school?
Well, yeah, I'd echo a lot of Kathy's
Mhm.
comments. I mean, they're top-notch values. And to be completely honest, again, went back in time when we were considering the school and we had signed up. I had this preconceived notion that, and I had said to my husband, "Are you sure, we're the right people for Appleby? Are we going to fit that Appleby mold?" And I couldn't have been more wrong, right? I don't know why I had this idea in my head of what Appleby was, but when we got there, nothing like that. As Kathy said, like, and Danny, they're just warm, welcoming. The families they want to be there. They want their kids to do well. They support the school supports them. The school's very involved with the ACPA, the Appleby College Parent Association. We work closely together. It just is, it's just this community, and it all comes together, and the parents fit beautifully and the kids fit beautifully and everybody seems to belong. And it's just a really nice feeling.
Oh, thank you very much. And how about you, Danny? How would you
Well,
describe the values of the school?
Mary and Kathy have both described what I'm about to say,
Uh-huh.
which is I see two words here: shared and involvement. The values are shared values. That's the thing that we've come to recognize the most, Mary, Kathy, and I, because we've been a part of that sharing. We've been really exposed to the sharing. You can have values and you have many different types of values, but it's those shared values that have come together, really crystallized for us over the last few years. And with that comes that involvement, because you can have values, but if you don't get involved, the values don't actually get shared. And I think this is what we've also been wonderfully a part of. And that involvement meant involvement from the parents' end. And as Mary just alluded to, the fact that the interaction has been it's a two-way street. We've had an amazing relationship with Appleby's administration and faculty over this period of time that allows for those values to truly be shared values. When we talk community, we actually walk the talk. And that's the lovely thing.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much for that. And now, Danny, I have another question. Is there something that you're really proud of that your girls have done at Appleby that stands out to you?
A number of things, yes. Just little things along the way. A parent, in Lilika's case, where Lilika herself had her own struggles adjusting. But when a parent came to me afterwards and said, your daughter was a mainstay for our daughter. When she was having a difficult time, she went to her and she was always propping her up. That as a human being, that's the value that I wanted them to most bring away from there, more than all the education in the world. And with the younger one, a similar thing where she does a lot of peer counseling, and where she was asked to do the middle school play because they wanted her, because they felt that she was a good influence on the younger children in middle school. And she came to the front and she did, and we saw the results. And I was extremely proud. I was prouder than when I saw her singing in Mamma Mia or anything else, very honest.
Oh, okay, that's very beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And Kathy, is there anything that stands out with your boys that you're just very proud of?
I mean, there's a lot, but I guess let me think. I'm proud of the fact that they do so much, I guess, at Appleby, right? That, I mean, like Danny said, they make them these kind people who care about each other, and they really have the sense of belonging, right, in their grades, and they are just I think that's wonderful. And I just think, I don't know, like they share experiences. Like I know the first day Oliver was really in grade 9, was really nervous, and he actually threw up. And he then in grade 12 went and shared that story with all the new grade 9s coming in, right? Just to say, it's okay, you're going to be nervous and it's all right to be nervous. So I think it's I don't know, I guess he is always a big brother, and they all have are all boys. So they just, they're used to caring for each other. And I think that then translates into the school too, where they care for their friends and their classmates. And I'm proud of that they really do take care of each other.
Oh, thank you. And Mary, was there something that Mitch did that you were really proud of during his time at Appleby?
Well, like Danny and Kathy said, there's a lot of little things that happen
Mhm.
along the way that you go, oh, wow, he can do that.
Mhm.
But I think, to circle back to Kathy's initial conversation or answer to the first question, I feel like now he is one of those student ambassadors. He did have the student ambassador role, but he could do what these kids did that convinced us to join the school.
Mhm.
I think he would be capable of doing that now. And so, graduation day, I think of, and I'd see him interacting with the teachers and the other kids, and you think, wow, you don't necessarily see it at home, but it's there, and he's learned all this, and yeah, he is one of those kids, and he can do this. So, yeah, kind of see it all come together at graduation.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you. And now I'm just going to open up one of my last questions is, do you have any advice to families searching for a school? Any words of wisdom that you may want to pass along?
Do you want us to just jump in?
Sure. Yeah.
So my words of wisdom, Apple, and I did look around, like I said, back in time when we were Appleby is, it's definitely got quality above the others. It has this ability to adapt, like to sort of think on their feet and adapt and really work with change that's happening, whether it's technological change or environmental, or they just seem to be ahead of that curve, and they can work with it, and I don't know how they do it. I think back, Danny mentioned it, the COVID years. My gosh, the way they navigated through that, I was in awe. It was my one comfort. We would sit down, and the principal, Ines Van Ostren, would do his, I think it was weekly or maybe even daily update on where we were at with COVID. And you just sort of sit and listen to him and think, oh, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this because Appleby's on it, and they know where we're going and how we're going to manage it all. And they're like that with everything that comes up. I don't know how they stay so leading edge, but they do, and they adapt, and they're nimble, and they incorporate it all and pass it on to the kids, which is phenomenal.
Oh, that's so awesome to hear. I know we heard a lot of positive feedback about how we navigated through COVID. And I think one of the key strengths of Appleby during that time was our communication.
Yeah. Oh, it was huge. It was constant communication. It was relevant communication. And it was helpful. I mean, it was comforting, and they really, really did a phenomenal job at pulling us through.
Good. Thank you. And Danny or Kathy, do you have any advice for families searching for schools?
Well, I would tell them, look beyond the scholarship, look beyond the academics, look beyond the athletic programs, look to the core of what Appleby has to offer, which is incredibly rounded young people stepping into the world.
So true, Danny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, agree 100%, Danny. That's really what it boils down to. These kids are well-rounded. Like I value the fact that they don't, Appleby is not just about academics. And, my kids have, they're decent students, but they've never been, 95, 97 student. And I really appreciate that Appleby but encourages them, let's say, to do different things and to, try out for sports, to try out for the arts, to try the whole co-curricular program that we have, where you have to do so many sports sessions, then your service sessions, and then your art sessions. My kids are nice kids, but I don't know if they would have volunteered if they weren't, pushed a little.
Right.
I think that it's wonderful that, you're encouraging these children to, know that it's great to give back to the community. And so I think that I'd say that Appleby does so many great things. And I would encourage, if you're looking for schools, to go to the open houses, to meet the students, to meet the teachers. And then once you decide that you will, that Appleby is the right school, then get involved. I said, get, join the ACPA and come out to the college shop and volunteer. And
Yeah.
that really will make your experience at Appleby what it is, because once you get to know the other parents and once, you're in the school seeing what your kid is doing, you'll be really happy for them.
Yes, thank you. I think our school community is definitely one of the strengths of Appleby. And I know when I ask students what they most appreciate about Appleby, it's that sense of community always comes out loud and strong from many students. And my last question is, what was one of the highlights of your children at their time at Appleby thus far, if your children are still at Appleby too?
Highlights. There are just so many, right?
I know, it's hard to know all of them.
I know.
I know that for Lilica being in Spain on that music trip that they did, and where they did some volunteer work as well with some of the people. And then ironically, 4 years later, Reina goes to Cuba and does a similar thing. And they had some volunteer stuff, and they actually had to interact with children who weren't quite as fortunate as most of the people that they know. And that all that came through a shared love of music. So it just brought everything together. They were able to help others out, but it was brought about because the others were interested in a common passion. And I think that it's ironic that they both had a kind of a similar experience.
Right. That's very interesting. Just two different countries.
2 different countries, 4 years apart. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
either side of the pandemic.
Yeah. And how about you, Mary? Was there one particular highlight that stood out for you?
There are just so many. I think he would probably tell you, aside from his fabulous grade 12 year of boarding that he loved was a big highlight for him. Probably Kathy mentioned, the extracurricular, the sports and the arts. Mitchell was always keen to get involved with the various sports teams. And I think for him, that was a highlight, just being the camaraderie and being on the team and going to compete with the other teams. And I think for him, he loved it. He just loved that bond. And yeah, I think there's just so many rolling in my head right now. Highlights, but I think that would probably be a big one, being part of all the sports teams.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Kathy?
Well, I think it's different for each of my kids, so I'll try to fix what it is. I mean, I think for Oliver, definitely he was on the Appleby hockey team this year, the senior boys team, and they won the championship, right? That for him, I think, and they were down, I think, I don't know, what was it, like 3-0, and they managed to win 4-3. So I think that he will always remember, and it'll be such a highlight for him.
It's very exciting.
It's such an exciting game to have won, especially since last year they came in second place, right? So it was like a sweet victory this year. For Carter, I don't know, Carter's involved in lots of fun stuff. So he also loves sports, and he was on the soccer team, which I think probably was really fun for him. He's very athletic, but he's never played soccer and since he was like 5 years old. So the fact that he joined the team, I thought, what are you doing playing soccer? But he's a good kid, and he runs fast, and he actually played like the first line, which I was quite impressed that he could do. So I think that probably would be a highlight for him. Spence, I'm gonna say lunch is probably the highlight because that kid likes to eat. And Appleby has a wonderful cafeteria with lots of great food, and he lunch and tuck. He always comes visit, especially when I'm volunteering. He likes to eat. And for Hunt, I mean, I don't know, he's struggled this year, but I think if he had to say, although he probably didn't like it, but he did his POL the other day, so that's the application of learning. So for him, he was so nervous, and it's 10 to 15 minutes of standing up in front of your peers talking, and the whole time he had his paper up here and hardly looked up, but he did it, he got through it, and I think that's something he will always remember, that he was capable, right? He was not, he was brave enough to do it even though he didn't want to. So I think that probably, I would guess, is the highlight. It won't be the middle school dance tonight because I know he's not going to that, but yeah, I think yeah.
Thanks for sharing. And yes, those presentation of learning projects are an incredible growth experience for the middle school students.
It really is such a great, it's such a great thing to do. I mean, during COVID, I know they had to videotape it. And so this is the first one I actually ever saw in person. And it was very special for me.
Oh, thank you. And now that is it for our roundtable. And I want to give a special thank you to Danny, Mary, and Kathy for sharing all your wonderful experiences and thoughts and feelings about Appleby. You couldn't have said it any better. So thank you very much for sharing. And thank you to the audience for watching. And if you have any questions about Appleby College, please feel free to contact the admissions office at any time. We're always here and happy to help. So thanks and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.